You know, I don't get it. That's why I'll never understand like people who are still grinding stuff like Destiny, and I'm like, it just seems like a
Oh,
job.
talk about Destiny. Apparently that game is like dying very fast. Bungie just released like a financial report where their revenue is down 45%,
Wow.
and player retention is very low, and the newest expansion was like very disliked,
Is
and like
is that the only game Bungie makes anymore?
they're making one other game. It's a game called Marathon, but like that game's been in development hell for a while, and it's also like nearly visionless because originally it was going to be a battle royale, but like battle royales are like super oversaturated, so they like pivoted to make it like a weird uh like sort of like open world game. I hear that it's like similar to like Escape from Tarkov, which is it's hard to explain because you don't know what that is, but it's like an open world. I don't know, but apparently people play that game and they're just like, eh.
Cool. Wow. I'll have to ask Nate because our
Yeah, I wonder if he still plays Destiny.
CIB employee Nate really likes Destiny, and I know that he still gets on like fairly regular. It's not like an everyday thing, but fairly regularly. And I'd be curious to see if like, yo, do the people you normally play with like slowly dropping off?
It's just really fun.
It's also been out for like 6 years.
Destiny has been an IP for like 10 years now.
Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking Destiny 2 specifically.
Yeah, I guess so. But the people that have been playing Destiny have been playing since the beginning.
Right.
The problem is that because players are leaving because the game isn't that good, and they're not getting new players because like the way that they release content is like sort of like a MMO where they'll release a new expansion but then remove all the old content. So like if you're getting into the game for the first time, you're gonna have no idea what is happening because all of the legacy stuff is gone. Oh.
I think I specifically said this on the channel before, but I asked Nate. I was like, "Now you know me, and you know that I don't want to do this. But if I wanted to start Destiny, would you suggest it?" And he was like, "Now, no." And I was like, "But you love Destiny. If I was like, yo, I want to play with you," like literally, he was like, "You really shouldn't at this point." That's just, I don't know. It's just like hypothetically, I could start playing World of Warcraft right now, right? And your average World of Warcraft fan would be like, "Yeah, join in." Like,
what?
yeah, you gotta level up.
On the same plane as me.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like, they would be like, "Yo, you gotta level up. You'll be a noob for a while, but whatever." But like, people would still be like, "Yeah, you can still play Warcraft. That's fine." But it's like, yeah, literally, do not play Destiny if you're like a new one. For like one of the biggest fans of it, it's like, holy crap. Bungie, 343. Why? Why couldn't Bungie just friggin' stick with Halo? And then we would have decent Halo, and therefore decent Xbox exclusives. At least something. I'm definitely.
Do you really want Microsoft to succeed? Everything about them is just like the antithesis of what I want.
The only reason I want them to succeed is it's better. My personal belief is it's better to have, in every situation ever, more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Competition.
Competition, thank you. It's just always better.
The problem is that Microsoft is just the worst type of competition because they have infinite money from things that aren't video games, so they don't even need to be good at it.
But if Microsoft stopped existing...
And they're also, like, turning games into, like, a service and really pushing, like, digital, like, not even just digital ownership, digital renting. Right. And it's like... I don't want it. I agree. I want Xbox to die.
And I just want to say, I said if Microsoft went away. Clearly, Microsoft's not going away. But I meant Xbox, like Microsoft's video game part. If they went away, it would be Sony and Nintendo. And Sony and Nintendo are different enough that anything Nintendo did wouldn't bother Sony, and anything Sony did wouldn't bother Nintendo.
I mean, that's already the case now. Nintendo like operates in their own like walled garden sort of thing.
And that's fine, but I worry more about Sony being like, "Oh, cool, we don't really have to try anymore. Just bring out the PS6 and make it whatever."
I mean, they're already kind of at that point where they raised the price of PlayStation Plus just a couple months ago. They're not really releasing much. They're really just coasting off of how insane their market like share is of what I would say like the HD or like the premium consoles.
It's
Switch
literally
the Switch is like a juggernaut, but it's a juggernaut in its own class. It doesn't really compete.
I mean, literally, it's been 11 years, and they're still like going off the fact that Microsoft messed up that E3 conference in 2013 so bad.
It can't be understated.
They literally never came back.
Yeah,
from
it can't be understated how much that 30-minute presentation ruined the Xbox permanently.
If you think about it, and this might be a hyperbole, but if anyone's obviously still watching and interested, let us know below. But that might be the single most important day in video game history in terms of like changing the face of the industry. Because has there ever been a time where a company like ruined itself as quickly in 1 hour? Like Sega obviously doesn't exist as a hardware manufacturer.
Even Sony sort of tried to ruin themselves with the PS3 reveal.
Like, but I think even your most hardcore Xbox fanboy would be like, that's not even nearly as bad as...
No, it's not even close.
It's not even
and
close.
And Sony, like, obviously they floundered for, like, a while, but they ultimately, like, saved themselves from disaster. They just dug their heels and they didn't give up on the PS3, and they're just like, we gotta turn this around, and they did. They did it.
Sega had a really bad E3, and I think it was 94 when they announced the Sega Saturn and said it was available to buy that same day. That, like, they were so worried about PlayStation 1 that they, like, shot themselves in the foot. And that's bad. But they also had a lot of signs of them screwing up for
Sega was
quite
really...
some time. It might have been 95, by the way.
I think it was Christmas 94, or, like, holiday 94. The thing that's crazy about Sega and how much they ruined the Saturn's, like, perception is that, like, people don't remember this, but Tomb Raider was a Saturn exclusive for a while.
I know.
And, like...
timed exclusive.
The Saturn was so irrelevant, and people didn't want it so bad that no one remembers that.
Yep.
And, like, Tomb Raider went on to be, like, a huge, massive success for Eidos.
Yep.
And it started as a Saturn exclusive, and no one even knows.
It was at least 6 months, if not a year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was definitely a timed exclusive for the Saturn.
And it was just like, I mean, at the time, it's not the case anymore, but Sony was like the absolute cream of the crop tech company for like everything. They made the best audio players, they made the best hi-fi systems, they made the best TVs. Them entering the video game market was such a huge deal. And it's weird looking back because Sony now is like known as like the camera and the PlayStation company, and that's it. Everything else is dead.
By the way, I said earlier, how did Edward live up here for 50 years? And that makes sense now. I forgot that he literally destroyed it. We probably always knew that his time was coming, you know?
Yeah, Edward is like, he was probably like 40 in the chapter, and now he's like 90. I mean, he looks like it. Rip.
God. Didn't in the very first cutscene with the detective, didn't he say there is no head?
Yeah.
So can you identify by the head? Lady, there is no head.
Depending on the alignment, all the top tier monster has a different design, but it's always like they go after his head.
So yeah, let us know below. You know, the Atari... Alright, so is there a more important thing that happened in history? Potentially the crash of 1983, the video game crash, is more important. But that wasn't a one-day thing. That was a very slow burn of Atari being awful and there being no quality control. So it's not like one thing. I've said this a million times, but people blame it on E.T. E.T. was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just like, you know, you get in a situation where you're like, I'm done. You know, that was it. It wasn't everything was great and then E.T. came out. Like, come on. No.
Faith in a vision.
So yeah, let us know if there's a worse day, because I can't think of one. And it's definitely not recency bias, because it's been 11 years.
Yeah.
And then Sony came out an hour later, or like later that day, and just said, here's how you trade a game and destroy them. A small note, okay. Dear Alex, remember me, Alex. I have left you a small surprise to keep you going when everything seems to go awry. It was my favorite tipple, and there are several barrels of it in the basement. Please help yourself to what you can find. My guess is that I won't be needing it. Your loving grandfather, Edward. Literally no sanity.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't become her.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Did we see that yet on this playthrough?
Yes. It
Okay.
actually happened to Alex when she had more sanity than that.
RNG. So did Edward just, like, not keep any maids after 1952? When he actually needed them?
Oh, I forgot to grab it.
Ooh.
Here's your pickaxe, Alex.
So specific. I don't even remember what you used this on. Is it the window at the end?
No.
No.
It is the one door we have yet to be able to enter.
Oh, right. Literally Silent Hill 4 The Room. Although this game came out before The Room.
Yeah, by
At
number of
least a
years.
couple years.
I think, wasn't it like 2005, 2006?
I think 5. Maybe 4.
Might have been 2004, but even if it was 2004,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
2 years
easily.
later.
Heh. Max?
I was literally thinking about Silent Hill 4 the other day. Silent Hill 4 has to be the best game ever made that is an absolute, like, the worst game to play.
Yep.
It is the best game for every reason except playing it.
It's true. Everything about it is... It probably still has... And obviously Eternal Darkness is going to be in this conversation too. But it probably has the best atmosphere of, like, any game ever.
Eh? Oh. That's weird.
Obviously, you could say Eternal Darkness has just as good, if not better, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah. No, Silent Hill 4 has really good... It might have better atmosphere in this game. Stethoscope.
Stethoscope?
Ooh, Maximilian.
As I contemplated these ideas, my suspicions of my servants grew, and I became increasingly fearful of them. I began to watch them carefully. Days ago, I watched one of them stretch his neck. I could have sworn I saw it twist in a most peculiar direction, and a bulge of muscle tissue collect and grow in the most incorrect of manners, as if a bone was being displaced from its proper location, and something else moving in its place. I stumbled away, knowing that I was surrounded by unholy creatures that wore the skins of mortal men and women. I had to take action, dear God! Let my hand be swift and merciful, lest the world see more of these diabolic creatures!
So this is the perfect time to show the Altasby book.
By the way, give me an Emmy right now. Give me Emmy.
We're going to be listening to Maximilian be crazy for the next 10 minutes.
This abomination, disease, science, blasphemous occult.
It sucks
rituals,
that you
how
could technically go the entire
something
game without
so dead.
checking this out, you know?
Yeah, and because I did all the playthroughs, I have all the
And
logs of
hungry.
the stuff that you can
Lust
see.
for flesh, human flesh.
The only thing he doesn't
And
autopsy,
feast
do an
upon all the
autopsy
sweet
report for is the
meats of man has to
flasher
offer.
guys, but that's because he never sees them.
These wretched creatures, these flayed corpses, wandering, decrepit,
So, I can't remember when I was looking at the Wikipedia article, the voice actor that did these lines versus the one that did the Max cutscene lines was actually a different voice actor.
Really?
I don't know why.
What's the purpose?
You can kind of tell that it's a different voice actor, but it's like pretty close. I also kind of remember that the guy that's doing this voice is kind of a big name. I'm gonna look that
Neither
up.
the embalming salve of their wrappings, nor the numbness of death could override the
This is
dominating
the
madness that
Zelotov
is
one.
Zelotov. Controlled, prodded into an existence by an incessant cacophony of voices, penetrating every level of their psyches. These corpses are coerced into life, ambling, moaning, shrieking,
Oh my god!
rotted from within, worried apart by the ravening fish and parasitic feeder of their sunken graves. These drowned zombies emerged, spilling their festering entrails and slopping fluids with each pain-ridden step. Each step hoping to bring an end to their pain by spreading it to others.
So this is really interesting. So the voice actor that does the autopsy reports is a different guy. His name is William Hopkins, who apparently he was the actor for Jet Porkins in the Death Star attack in Star Wars Episode 4. But the voice actor that did the gameplay and the cutscene ones is Michael Bell, and he's uncredited for the role. The best line in this game, and he doesn't get a credit. What?
The devil's inside the servant's
He
skull.
must have asked for it?
Or
They
there might have been
plotted
like a
behind
falling
doors,
out, or
locked
yeah, I don't
and
know.
barred,
It's
and planned
so
the
weird.
downfall of the human race. I took care of the ones around me, stopped their plans. There are others, I'm sure, out there, manipulating us, secreting madness inside our very heads, while our souls are pushed into the corners of our skulls, watching as our hands do tasks that we have no control over. Oh, horrible, horrible things. We must purge them from our midst, kill them all, cut them, burn them. It's the only way. I know. I've done it. It works.
Oh my god. I think Maximilian's mental health is getting better as this goes
So
on.
does Maximilian like these creatures or not? I really can't tell.
Smell them again. Somewhere between
And the cool thing is that it's hard to tell if Maximilian was even like in the right when he killed all the servants in that room. He probably wasn't. He was just driven insane. But like the bone thieves are literally like a thing that exists, and he had to deal with. So like, no wonder he went insane.
No, not at all. I could smell them, you see. They were all around.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like,
Dear God,
imagine in the world,
all around,
like the real
I know
world,
what
if
I
you
They
found out that
have
bone thieves exist.
my blade and bullet.
The rest of
I
your
had to
entire
get
life,
rid of them.
every single person you
Don't
ever
you
met, you'd be like,
understand?
they could be a bone thief.
Dear God.
Like, there's just no way you could
I
ever, like,
had
get
to
past
do
it. If one exists
to.
and does it to somebody you know or you see or whatever, then every time you, like, I don't know, someone comes into work and they're, like, weird that day, they're just having an off day, you're like,
Horror.
bone thief!
Hatred incarnate.
Especially when you're like
What manner of
Maximilian
creature
and
is
like
that?
you were
A
attacked
ton of
directly
flesh
with the
and sinew,
crazy city underneath
wielding
your
muscles
house.
thick as rope strung onto claws that could
Dude,
crush
like, the
stone,
milkman would come by and you're
sever
like,
metal as though
"Get
it were fresh
out!"
wheat.
Yeah.
Crushing, cutting. The walls shook with each step it took. Oh, the horror. An abomination. Its physiology remarkably abstract. No real.
These drawings are cool,
organs
by the
or
way.
Yeah, he is
anything.
clearly
It
a very
shouldn't work.
talented
But it
scientist.
did. And the mouths, those gnashing scythes of teeth. I tell you, it existed only to eat, to consume, to gnaw, to bite, to devour.
I also like imagining that he's
Rot their
telling
eyes,
Maximilian's
their
telling
staring
like
sees through your soul like looking through a
like
window.
possibly someone like in
Lids
like the
festooned
sanatorium
with tiny
or like
hook-like
before he got thrown
teeth
into there like
that
just
gape
some
and
like mental
gnash.
health sort of thing or like a
It
police
doesn't make
officer
sense.
and he's just trying to
No
convince them
anatomy
so
would form like
adamantly.
Yeah.
that.
But he's
Well,
like clearly he has gone insane, but he's also telling the truth.
There's also no mental health back in the day, so
Yeah.
some literal officer that's like, yeah, move it along into the sanitarium with ye.
Have at thee. They have
We're almost
no
done.
eyes,
Sorry if this is boring.
but they can
But I
see.
love-
No,
tell
this
you.
is cool.
No eyes, No, no eyes at all, but you can feel it looking at you. It stares through you like looking through empty air, and
Do you
can
get all
feel
these,
it raking your
even if,
innards with their
I'm sorry,
touch.
if you
The shiver of their senses.
do one horror,
Your
he breaks down all
bowels
3?
through
No,
empty
I think you have to do
space.
3 playthroughs.
Oh my
for
God.
all these.
That's so cool.
They came from the darkness, chittering.
Oh, we get to see the other
spider-like
2
parasites
Apex
infesting the city.
god creatures.
Enga.
This is the Chiturga one.
Enga. They killed the city's inhabitants, using them for food, for slaves, for
So this is a
play.
cool bit of lore. Apparently the
And
ancient
city's
city was
last
inhabited
dark,
by
doomed days.
not
Blood filled the
like the Elder Gods
waterways,
creatures.
drained
They just
upon the
invaded
streets, a
at some
proud,
point.
mighty
So
race.
there's some sort
Now
of weird
nothing
race
but
underneath
bloody gobbets
the
of
Roivus'
meat
mansion
in the
that were
gutters.
like sentient and very
So
advanced,
it
and
has
they all got
been
killed
for
out by
eons.
these horrors.
Guardians.
Pretty neat.
Those eternal parasites still swarm in that necropolis, feeding on those that live in ignorance many miles above us. Damn you, listen to me.
Nope.
They feed on us. The darkness comes.
Ooh,
the
It
darkness
will
TM.
consume us all. We must fight them, or all is lost.
Oh.
These are the
Gibbering
Zealotop
insanity,
ones.
wrought in flesh as though an artist had sculpted it. Created from nothing by their mistress.
A curious
Zealotop.
lack of
A
internal
canvas
organs.
as grotesque as any. Their bodies made no sense, no heads, no organs, an empty husk devoid of the trappings of nature, but it walked, it sang, it shrieked. A mockery of reason, both natural and mental, a blasphemy from beyond the veil. The veil has opened, and we should not see beyond.
It's fine.
Oops. Well,
Deep in
probably
those
has, like,
ancient
one
Oh, I
depths,
remember these. I don't remember the
Great
Zealotop,
city
but I remember
is lost.
these.
Ulyaoth
Long
is the
before we
playthrough that I usually do because it's the
long,
easiest. I
long
was surprised when I looked
before
back on our playthrough
the proud
and I chose
city of
Zealotop as the one.
Enga.
Because it's also easy, but
Decadent
it's
and
usually the one I don't
trusting.
pick.
And it was their downfall. When the darkness came, and the
Yeah.
guardians slaughtered them, their existence was but a dying echo, shrieking from violated mouths, resounding within their homes, their tombs.
This creature just looks like a
If you
deep sea
stand
creature.
alone,
Yeah,
That
Um,
actually exists.
Ulyaoth also looks kind of like a gigantic jellyfish, so like all of his creatures are sort of like
you can
aquamarine.
That's cool.
hear the cries of the people of Enga, rent apart by the unseen claws of the guardians. Their echoes still linger, as do their souls.
Their darkened souls.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, the bodies are still there?
I guess so. It was probably just boarded up like real quick.
No, but like... Go back. Oh, no, they're not.
There's
Okay.
blood,
Okay.
and I guess these are the bodies. This is the body. It's like all the.
Yeah, okay. No, but I was like, are we serious? Like,
So at this
seriously?
point, there's creatures in the mansion. I'm gonna assume that. Oh yeah, I love trappers. I'm gonna assume that us dispelling that.
Oh,
thing
yeah, that makes sense.
probably unleashed them. Because now that I think about it, what the dominant god doing it? That's why when I casted like Ulyaoth and it didn't work, I was like, what? It was Zealotop doing it, which is very unusual.
Yeah, so it was probably saving you from the creatures. Well, luckily this didn't happen a couple chapters sooner. Holy crap. Holy crap, holy crap. Holy crap, Lois! It's Zelotov!
Hello.